to our fifth episode. We have been talking about schooling options, what we offer at Almasi International Christian School. My name is Sophia Mbevi. I am the founder and director of Almasi School at Syokimau. We have been running since 2012. This is our 9th year of academic school, and we have experienced a lot of life change. We have seen a lot of children achieve their dreams for education, finish well and strong, and go on to pursue their lifelong careers of interest. Today, in our last episode, we talked about the Special Needs Education Department in Almasi, and you're welcome to check our YouTube channel for it, Facebook, for that episode number 4. Today we want to talk about schooling options, and I want to talk to parents and ask you, what do you consider? What factors do you consider when you are choosing a school for your child? Obviously, there has to be several factors. A lot of parents talk about proximity. How far, how near is school from home? Accessibility. Am I able to afford it? Financial accessibility. Am I able to afford that school? Others are looking at the school culture. And school culture means many things. It means how are the children able, what is a school culture? Because school culture impacts on a child's character and the things that they pick. School culture for others has to do with faith. For me, faith was a strong consideration because, like I said, one of my key parenting goals is to pass on the most important thing for me, which is a legacy of faith for my children. I would say that as a child, the thing that was the most valuable thing that my own parents passed on to me was a legacy of faith. And I believe that with a legacy of faith, you can find your way around the world. You can navigate life challenges. And so it becomes an anchor. So that was a big consideration for me, a legacy of faith. And therefore just asking myself, where can I find alignment for this great goal for my children? And for me, a Christian private school was the one that provided my answer. So you have to find out for yourself, what is it that you want for your child at the end of the day, at the end of their education journey. What do you want to have influenced your child? Now, there are 3 options of educational schooling or schooling for children. Of course, the most obvious is a public school system. We have the private school. You can take your child to a private school, and private schools are many. There are some that are faith-based. There are some that are just exist to fill a gap in the ability of the government, to fulfill the need for education. And then there are those more recently, and anyway, in these COVID times, I think everybody has become a homeschooler. And so we must ask ourselves, what are the pros and cons of all of this? I'll begin with the public school system, public school option. Now, public school is available. It is accessible. It's one of the government policy to ensure that its citizenry access education. And so there's provision for public school. It's available, it's accessible. What are the cons of a public school? I told you about the educational inequalities, and we can talk about inequalities on many, many fronts. But when it comes to inequality in the public school system, because of the levels of accountability, then as a parent, you may need to do extra work. Just ensuring that your child is mastering content, they're covering what they need to do. And we have seen a lot of parents who do public school also have to supplement learning by engaging private tutors or signing up their children for an extra or after school tuition program, so that then the deficit that exists in the public school system can be filled up. Then of course you have the private school. The private school is considered a better option for some. There's some in certain places it's actually not an option. The distribution of public school in some areas is scanty, and so there are parents who do not actually have an option but take their children to private schools. For example, in our slum areas, in many of our informal settlements, there are no private public schools, or the ones that are there are not able to fully meet the needs of the population there, and so there are many private schools that have mushroomed there. Now with private school, the general notion is that you're probably going to receive higher accountability by the school, from the school authorities to you as parents. You have a voice in the private school. That's the perception. But because again of the private school treatment of students as clients, and you see in business they say that the client is always right, and so in many private schools then you find that the issue of character and culture can be quite a challenge, and in that case as a parent then you really must be involved to just monitor the school culture, to monitor the impact of that school culture on your child, and see whether it's a good fit or not. The beauty about private school is that you have choice. You can move, the movement from one private school to another is not difficult, because after all private school is business, and any business, the private school sector is happy to welcome new customers anytime. Then there is homeschool. Homeschool, I mean, in this pandemic, everybody now is a homeschooler by force. There is no choice about that. Now, a lot of my parents at Almasi School cannot wait for physical school to come back. And a lot of them now appreciate the rigorous work that teachers do at school. And I have a lot of them saying, I have a newfound respect for my teachers. I don't know how they manage. I see my child, being all organized and accomplishing his goals. I didn't know what it takes for that to happen. So I'll say with homeschool, homeschool is a full-time engagement, and for most homeschoolers, you either have to employ a teacher at home, but you take full responsibility, really, for your child's educational journey. And there's a measure in which you need as a parent to be competent, to understand the requirements, the standards, and to also ensure, even if you have someone teaching your children at home, you have to ensure that certain standards are being met, which therefore implies that you have to also know what those standards are and what the accomplishment of those standards looks like. In the homeschool also, there is the issue of socialization. I hold it that not every child is cut out for homeschool. I think of all the children that, especially the children who are outgoing, the children who thrive on social interaction, they do find that, their homeschool is kind of stifling, and they want something better. They want to be out there with friends. And I've also had, in my little experience of 2020 with the COVID situation, I tend to see like homeschooling favors girls more than it favors boys. The general performance of boys has been very low as compared to our girls. I do not know why. It's just an observation at face value. In terms of amount of work covered, in terms of scores, we found that our male students have performed generally a little lower than our female students during this homeschooling. So I'd say that not every child is cut out for homeschool, I will also say that it's not every parent that is cut out for homeschool. Yet I do know that in certain circumstances, there is no other way. Some parents don't have a choice and they have to homeschool because that's all that is available for them. And so it would be great. And at this point, I'll talk about why one would opt for Almasi School. One is because at Almasi School, the curriculum that we use is an individualized curriculum. Every child walks according to their path. Every child is their own journey, on their own individualized journey. So the child who is able to move faster is able to, move without being inhibited. The child who learns differently is a bit slower. There is no pressure for that child because, again, it's their own pace. And it's not that the children decide what they want to do. We say that, there is a framework within which they ought to perform, but there is no pressure. There is no pressure. There is the kind of good competition where you're being asked to be the best that you can be, to give it your all. And so for you as parents, I would encourage you to consider all of those things, to understand, like we said at the very first episode, that by the time a child leaves school, they have spent 75% of their entire time alive in school. So definitely, school is going to be a very significant factor in shaping the future in many, many ways. And I'll also say that there are many things that are broken or built during one's schooling years. And so I'll invite you as parents to be more intentional about getting involved in your child's school. And if you want to know more about what we offer at Almasi School, why your child would benefit greatly from being part of our student community, we invite you to call us up on our number 0713 675 228. I will repeat that again, 0713 675 228. Please call us and begin the journey of being intentional with hooking your child up with a world-class character-based education that will set them up for successful living as an adult. Visit us on our webpage, www.almasischool.org. Call us up on 0713 675 228. My name is Sophia, and I am the founder and director at Almasi School. Thank you for listening.